Hey guys, welcome to Russell Sprouts and welcome to my greenhouse. So, if this is your first time here, be sure to hit the subscribe, give me a like, that way you get a notification every time a video comes out on Tuesday afternoons. So today we're going to look at Green Pea Microgreens and how to do that whole process. It's very simple, very fun, very rewarding. So before anything else, we'll get ahead and get going on this. So what we're going to need to get started here is we need some water. I run mine through 24 hours of UV. You don't necessarily have to do that. Even leaving it in a bucket for 24 hours is good. It helps get rid of chemicals. But if you need to use tap water, you need to use tap water. Now make sure the water's at room temperature, around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius. Generally on the lower end of that's generally a bit better, I find. And I soak my peas for 8 hours. So what I use is 250 grams of green peas. Now these are from Mum Sprouting Seeds, which are a proudly Canadian company. Quality organic seeds here as well. So in the water, we just use about 1.5 liters of water. Once we pour it in, make sure there's about 2 inches of water above. Let it soak for 8 hours. And then after that, we'll get back and bring it in and show you how to get it into the trays. Alright guys, here we are back after 8 hours with our peas here. So they've started to swell up a bit inside of the bowl, so we're just going to drain those off. And with the peas, I don't really find that there's any need to give those a rinse. You can just drain those off and get those ready to bring into the soil. So we have 2 trays, 2 10-inch by 20-inch trays. One of them with holes, the top one here and the bottom one without holes. Now we use an organic soil, so it's quality organic soil, it's Pro Mix organic blend. And what we do here with the peas is we use a little less soil in the peas on the bottom. Essentially, like they can kind of be grown without any soil whatsoever. They can be done on a waterway, but you have to keep water in there and you have to keep changing it up on a daily basis. So with just a little bit of soil on the bottom, it keeps it moist enough that you can just leave it like that and water it once or twice a day, and then you'll be good to go after that. Once again, always make sure there's no big pieces in there and nothing that's going to cause any more builds-ups or cause any issues further down the line. So once we've got a small layer there dusted across the bottom, and as you can see here, you can still see parts of the bottom in there. Alright, so we're going to spread our peas right over, make sure they're evenly spread once again. Now with this weight of peas, you pretty much cover the whole thing will basically be green, essentially. By the time you're done with this, and the roots on the peas are extremely aggressive, so it won't take long for them to start coming through and really grip it. So with that being said, once again, you don't really need much soil because they're going to grip down pretty hard pretty quickly. So once you got those spread out nice and evenly on top, then you're just going to give them a good spray down. Make sure they're fully soaked. And with my water, I do run it through a UV light for 24 hours. That way it can evaporate all the chemicals off of there. There won't be any chlorine or any other chemicals like that in there. Now you can leave it out for 24 hours. It does help with the chlorine and any other chemicals. There's still a little bit of residue unless you use a UV light to completely take it out. But with that being said, if you really need to, you can still use tap water. Straight out the tap, it still works, still does the same job. Now once you have those all fully soaked, we're going to take another 10-20 tray and throw that directly on top. Now what I would generally do if I had this just on its own, I'd put a weight right on top of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a stack of germinating trays that I already have and sit them right on top of that. Now I'm going to have that covered for about 3 days. After 3 days, we'll uncover it, take a look, and see where we're at. Alright, so now with our green peas, it has been 3 days that they've been underneath here with a bit of weight on top. So we're just going to take it off, take a look, and see how it's looking. Alright, so let me just give you a show. So as you can see here, all of them started germinating there nice and evenly. And all the roots are pointing down, so they're all going in the direction that we need them to go. Everything looks great there. So there's a couple of things I'm going to do with our green peas, is we're going to give them a spray over the top. Once again, same kind of thing with mold, make sure there's no issues there. Just kind of squash that, make sure nothing happens. Give it a good misting over the top, make sure they're all fully misted. Make sure there's absolutely no dry spots going on. And then what I also do with my green peas is I'll take 250 milliliters of water and I'll pop that into the bottom tray. The roots are very aggressive on the green pea, and as you remember, there isn't much soil in there, so we do need to make sure that moisture does retain on the inside of there because of the lack of soil. So what I'm going to do here, all the roots are facing down, so I'm just going to flip this cover, put it over the top into what we call a blackout phase, and I'm going to keep it there for 2 to 3 days, and then we'll take a look, flip it off, and we should see all the sprouts coming up and facing directly upwards. Alright, we'll see you in a few days. Alright, so we're back to our green peas after 2 days of being covered up. We're going to check in and see if they've shown up enough for us to put it under the lights. Alright, so as you can see, they've all shot up and they're all nice and even there. They look like those little dinosaurs, what they call Diplodocus, the little foot. I'm not sure what they're called. Anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to give them a spray down over the top and make sure all the soil's nice and moist. And you might even be able to see the roots springing through the bottom here. But what we're going to do is we're going to put a cup of water into the bottom tray. And then we're going to do that twice a day. We're going to do that twice a day. And then after about 20 minutes, if there's any water left in there, we're going to drain that off. But yeah, about every 12 hours, you're going to want to throw about a cup of water into there. As you can see, the root base is pretty aggressive. You can see the roots already starting to come through there at the beginning of germination. Now, what I'll do is actually I'll show you one of these trays that's full at the moment of green pea, and the roots on the bottom of this. As you can see there, the roots are really coming through. Extremely strong. So extremely aggressive root base. So they'll soak up all of that water pretty quick in there. So we'll throw that under the lights and we'll be back here in about 6 days, 7 days, and we'll take a look and go for the harvest. Alright, so harvesting green peas. So we are on to day 14 of these green peas. As you can see, if you've grown other varieties before, you know that those are a little leafier. These ones are a little more viney, so they do go really well in salads or with any meal in general, but the presentation of them works really well and they have a really, really pleasant flavor to them. So with that being said, you can harvest these about 10 days in, and these have got about 1 or 2, maybe 3 more days left on them ready to harvest. So what I have is I have my bucket, and I have my about 2.5, 3 liters of water in there. And I also have the inside of my salad spinner already on the inside. That way when I go to transfer, it just makes it nice and easy. Because these greens are nice and big. They're a little different to the herbs that can fall through the gaps. Those are a little different for washing and cleaning. But with the bigger greens like this, it makes it nice and easy. So the knife that I like to use is one of these. It's called a Santoku knife, I believe that's the name of it. It's nice and easy to use, nice and small, easy to maneuver. Some people like to use snips. Me myself, I like the feel of the knife and I like the way to move it around in there to get where you need to get. And even with washing too, I like to wash my product. There are a lot of people that like to just package as it is. I have seen once I've put it in there and cleaned it, there is surprisingly a little more dirt than you kind of expect to see. So I do like to clean the product and make sure everything's nice and fresh, nice and clean. It gives it a little bit more oomph and it makes the product last a little bit longer. So without anything else, all we have to do here with the green peas is you have to take a handful of them and then bring it up nice and low. Because of the strong root base, you can actually move the whole thing up here. And you can just cut it nice and low and cut through. And then as it comes down, you can lower that and then cut across. Slowly moving your thumb backwards as you go to get a bigger handful. And then you have a whole row taken off all in one go. Then you're just going to put those in the water. I'll show you what to do in a second. I'm going to take another row just to show you. Nice and easy, just keep moving that thumb back. Then you got another row of green peas, nice and easy. Alright, I'm just going to put this back on the shelf for a moment. So with this on the inside here, you have the inside of your salad spinner, your lettuce spinner already in there. So you want to make sure that the green peas are all fully dunked and fully submerged in the water. And then we're going to let that sit for about 10 minutes there and just let it soak for a moment. Alright, I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes. Alright, so after 10 minutes of letting this soak, you just want to bring it straight out of there. Let it drain off a little bit here. Pop it into your spinner. Now you don't have to go anything crazy on your salad spinner. Just get something basic there, something from Walmart, that type of thing. Alright, give it a couple of spins. Let that first one pour out. Then you want to do the same thing again. Alright, now what I have here is a couple of trays. I have one tray on the table, and then I have another one here that has some holes on the bottom, and then I have some paper towel on top of that. So now that I've given that a couple of spins, it's pretty straightforward. Just put this down on my paper towel. I'm going to let that sit for about 2 minutes. Well, I'm going to put my fan on it first, and then I'm going to let it sit for about 2 minutes. And just keep the fan on low so you don't have everything blowing everywhere. Let it sit for about 2 minutes. Give it a move around so it doesn't all just get to the moisture at the bottom. You want to just give it a quick rotate. Then another 2 or 3 minutes with the fan next to it here. Give it a bit of air movement all around. And then it's ready to package up, or whichever way you want to go with it after that. Enjoy!